Don't get in my hair.
Oh, it looks like I'm live. Did that happen? Is that real? It looks like I'm live. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to another edition of Astro Weather. Hold on, I'm looking a little untidy here. Let's try to button up our experience. I'm wearing my Trevor Horn glasses today. You guys remember Trevor Horn from the Buggles video, Killed the Radio Star? I got my Trevor Horns on today. That's a little better. I think we're good. How did this end? How did this show start? Amazing. See, life happens when you're not paying attention. Even when you're not paying attention. It's better if you are paying attention. Well, most of the time. Welcome to the Astro Weather. It is the 31st of August. Did you guys catch on yesterday that I had done a pre-record? That happened yesterday. And it was a big busy day for yours truly on the full moon. I guess that Hurricane Idalia. I did hit Florida. I think I went to Cat. Was it a Cat 3 maybe or Cat 4? It wasn't as big as we thought it might be, which I think for everybody in Florida is probably a good thing. So here we go. Wrong chart. Robert, that was the wrong chart. We're going to get to the right chart. Let's put this over here. I hope everybody's having a smashing day. A smashing day. Okay. Actually, that was the right chart. I just had the wrong name on it. Now I'm in the Virgo mode. How exact do I want it? How's Mercury retrograde going for everybody? That's always an interesting operation. All right, there we go. A little cleaner. Meets the Virgoan standards. Let's put it that way. All right, here we go. Pop it up. And let's do a little shareage. Back here and present. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we go. Your Astro Weather. All right. So the people were sending me pictures of the moon last night, and it was big, really big moon. We're kind of in the harvest moon territory. Ginormous. It was the second full moon, of course. Blue. It was a super moon, so it was making its presence felt. I spent a little over 2 hours last night shooting an episode for Serious Sports, which will air on Monday, kind of our NFL preview. And our buddy from Rabbit Hole Astrology, Mark Matheny, was with us, and man, it was a really good show. As the kids say, it was a banger because Mark is loaded with charts, and we were doing 3-level synastry charts, team, coach, player. I mean, it was. We threw Al into the deep end of astrology last night, which is good. Which is good. He's it's sort of like I don't know, it's sort of like a gang initiation, you know. They throw the young gang member in there, and all the other gang members beat him up. Right? Not quite, but there was a lot, and Mark's charts are incredibly detailed. So if you're not used to looking at a chart, I'm sure just it could just scramble your brain. So big props to Al for uh, just learning a lot and being immersed in this subject matter. And he's picking things up. I can tell you that right now. He's picking things up. Anyway, let's get into the weather. So yeah, here's our moon. It's moved off of Saturn, and we're about on the midpoint. It's still full. You still go out tonight, you'll still see that effulgent, the effulgence of the harvest full moon. Uh, and well, guess what? We'll get another full moon in September. It won't be quite like the the blue moons, but we'll have another one coming up here. But yeah, there it is. It's at 14 Pisces, so second decan, putting it in the Cancerian decan. And today's one of those days where I think people will have more of a tendency to express their care to some degree, right? Moving into that Cancerian decan. Keep your eye on Lahaina, Maui. I just read that The Rock and Oprah are teaming up and they're giving people $1,200 a month. I mean, still, that's nothing. I mean, it's we're into weird territory. It's not their problem to solve, and yet you get into how much land Oprah has bought, and recently, we're going to talk about Lahaina, more Lahaina on 15 Minutes of Flame. I don't want to get into it too much today, but that's the kind of moon. It's like now it's Pisces. It's unconditional theoretically. In the second decan, it wants to nurture and care, and it has kind of a more domestic feeling to it. On the other side, though, we have Mercury retrograding, and the moon is gonna, as we kind of go through the day here, like in the next 6 hours, the moon will move into opposition more with Mercury, and that is a tricky opposition. Now, it's not something that can't be navigated. The idea here would be to feel something, right? In the opposition, you would feel something. And in the full moon in Pisces, it can be quite abundant what you're feeling. And on the other side, you have Mercury in super rational Virgo, and it's retrograding. And people are dealing with their feelings today. And I wonder how many cases of people just breaking down and sobbing and being emotional are out there. I had a very powerful conversation last night, and you can just tell. Well, you can just tell that, like through that conversation and looking at it from the big picture perspective, the dam is going to burst. Kind of feels that way. I kept using that analogy with the moon Saturn. But the dam is going to burst, and so we have this kind of taut polarity between the fullness of feeling and Mercury wanting to kind of be in control here in Virgo. But the retrograde part also triggers memories, and Cancer rules memory. It rules the fourth house. It rules families and nostalgia. So this is one of those days where, and I know a lot of people have been doing their best to hold up. I'm not saying you should throw in the towel, not by any means. But today is one of those days where I think there is a very clear picture between the world that we once had and once lived in versus the world we're living in now. And a lot of people have been just engaged in survival. That's it, just engaged in survival and getting through and having to push their feelings down or their emotions down in order to get through and get by. I don't think that today's one of those days where that may be less doable. That's not to say that you can't come to new conclusions or new ways of seeing things. You can, because Mercury's now moved into trine with Jupiter in retrograding and still in trine with Uranus. So we have this nice trine going on. And one of the things that I would say with this, uh, and even we're still kind of the sun moon opposition, of course, moon being full, is try not to be too hard on yourself. You know, this is Virgo is sort of the king of that in the zodiac, being hard on oneself. And again, I feel like the formula here is to allow yourself to feel and and let go and you look around, and our way of life is rapidly coming to an end. And it doesn't mean that where we're going won't ultimately be better, because in my heart of hearts, I do believe it will be. But the period or the phase that we go through, I think there's a lot of grief and a lot of mourning. And I think it might have been Rama Lama who sent me this piece on Maui and how Maui is actually the heart chakra of the planet. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. If that is true, then this event is much deeper than we understand. And um, I'm starting to see some more information about people who are, working for the Hawaiian Power Company, and they're coming out and they're whistleblowing on some of this stuff now. And when we get to a point with something like Maui where it clearly looks like the fix was in, it's a dangerous point, because it's like, look over here, look at the dog over here, look at the rabbit over here, right? But if you can move through the emotional release, you have the potential of kind of understanding a bigger picture and a new path in a lot of ways. So we still have this grand trine action with Mars and Pluto, Uranus, and Mars and Libra. Again, if you're working in concert with others now, you can get great benefit out of this grand trine. So I would say, kind of double your efforts, but double your efforts in conjunction or partnering with another person or persons. Doesn't have to be just one. It could be more than one. And your efforts will be quantified. They'll be doubled, right? So we have this grand trine still in action. But to me, the big news is this Moon Mercury opposition, especially later in the day. And I would say an opportunity once you get through some of the emotion, if you feel like you need to, or if you feel it coming on, kind of a restructuring and seeing things and understanding things from a different perspective. And there's also a great adaptability here with Mercury, Jupiter, Uranus. And we're dealing with mutable sign and we're dealing with fixed sign. So it's a good mix, right? We still have the cardinality. In fact, we have more cardinality with Mars and Pluto being in a trine out of sign. Um, so this is, I think today offers some very interesting possibilities. We're about ready to go direct here with Venus, so it's going to station soon. And here comes Juno creeping up, right? So we're having the marriage of Juno and Venus, which is astrologically very sensual, possibly erotic. But there's new possibilities in the air. Don't be afraid. Here's my as Uranus retrograde stations. Don't be afraid to get rid of dead wood. Now, unfortunately, you might be somebody else's dead wood, right? And it's okay because that's how Uranus works. It's like, whoa, really? Really? And I'll go one better here. If somehow it is connected into your employment, then let it go. Whatever disruption occurs, it's okay. It's really okay. Whatever disruption occurs, it's okay. But if you want to take the initiative, theoretically, you can also do that. The initiative is getting rid of the dead wood. Wood being, of course, ruled by Earth, Taurus, right? And Venus retrograde here in Leo. You're clearing away the obstacles so that you can get more in touch with things that matter and things that you're passionate about. Life is really funny. Life is a dance between being intimately involved with everything you do, because that's why we're here. If you're not intimately involved in your life, then you're missing out on your life. But then there's another quality of life, which is more detached and being able to de-invest if you need to. I think this is what Jesus meant when he said to be in this world and not of it. To be intimately involved in your own walk, as they say. But then you should be as equally invested in your own walk away. Interesting dynamic. Let's do a couple of these in conjuncts and we'll move to our star of the day. So we have an in conjunct with Saturn and Mars. That's an interesting energy. That we're kind of in a theme here. That's the take this job and shove it energy. Isn't it funny how they made a song out of that? Then they made a movie out of that. Oh, the good old days. There's your moon in Pisces talking. Yeah, it's sort of it's on a bigger picture, do people feel powerless? Do people feel powerless when the sky is raining fire? Do people feel powerless when they're being forced to retire? Hey, I just rhymed. That's the inconjuncture. There is a sense of grappling with one's own impact in the world as these hierarchies try to shape and force a new world around us. It's a very interesting day. Now, I have to say, astrologically, this is a very interesting day. The Venus in conjunct the moon. And again, when we go back to cutting the dead wood, how much emotion do you have to go through to do that? And then the last in conjunct would be Mercury and Chiron. So in this instance, Virgo likes to solve problems. If you're in a problem-solving mode with in conjunct with Chiron, I would think that it would behoove you to listen more than solve. with this in conjunction. Am I right there? Yeah, it would behoove you to listen more than solve. But at a certain point, you can't help yourself. So you may as well throw in and give your 2 cents or 10 cents, or I guess with our economy, 25 cents today, because 2 cents is now 25 cents. All right, let's check out our star of the day. I think I may have done him or looked at his chart. I did this guy. Gary Webb. He's your star of the day, author of the book Dark Alliance. And Gary Webb was a journalist for the San Jose Mercury News, and he was uncovering the CIA's involvement in bringing cocaine into this country from Central America and lining it up with what was going on with Iran-Contra. I'll never forget when Gary was publishing his articles. It was back when the internet was really just breaking. So I think we're talking around 1997, maybe 98. I'd have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure it was around 97. And he had connected with Freeway Ricky Ross. And Ricky was from Compton, South Central. And he'd got involved. Ricky was a really, really good high school tennis player. And unfortunately, Ricky probably wasn't the best student. So I think he had a scholarship to one of the local colleges there to play tennis. That's how good he was. But he was not a very good student. So he wound up getting sort of cycled out of the team. And then he needed a gig. And he eventually wound up meeting a guy who introduced him to a guy, and he started selling coke in Compton, and he started to get really, really fucking rich. And eventually, this is Ricky Ross, winds up going to Cincinnati and setting up crack houses, because by the time the LA cops are all over Ricky Ross at that time, and so he winds up leaving LA because it's too hot. He made a shit ton of money, but he winds up going to prison eventually. And Gary Webb was looking at this story, and he was looking at Iran-Contra, and Ricky Ross comes into his life, and he starts to get all the skinny. He starts to get the 411 on Ricky Ross and what the CIA's involvement was and the people that were involved with him. And he starts to publish these stories in the San Jose Mercury News, and it started to break the internet. And this is very early on. This is way before social media. This was one of the first seismic events on the internet. Like, the San Jose Mercury News was getting more views online. Now you'd have to go behind a paywall. It was a different time. And we're all looking at this. We're going, holy fuck. Right? This is kind of the moment that we've been waiting for. This is where journalism and truth meets this new medium. Like, this is the great equalizer. And then the Mercury News, which had been supportive of his work, all of a sudden shut him down and moved him to a city bureau in Los Gatos. So he goes from breaking, I mean, just think about this. He goes from breaking the story of the century to covering city council meetings in Los Gatos, California. I mean, just deal with that. That's like the Mercury opposition to the moon. In actual, and look, he kind of has it. Well, not quite, but he does have some lunar opposition going on here. So, what makes this chart? So Gary wrote Dark Alliance. I think this whole thing wound up breaking up his marriage. It was very, very, very tough on him. Of course, I saw him give a talk at this middle school in Berkeley. I think it was Martin Luther King Middle School, And it was a very interesting experience. We sat next to this guy, me and my buddy Mo. We sat next to this guy, or he was in front of us, and he turned to us. He said, the CIA employs editors of newspapers, news directors. Every news director or editor at a major newspaper, TV, and radio station is employed by the CIA because of the filters for all the information. Like, oh, that's interesting. That makes sense. So Gary Webb is a Sag rising. He is ascendant as conjunct the galactic center. So he is propelled towards his quest for truth with a sense of purpose. It's not intellectual. His true note is there as well. At 20, this guy's a truth teller, right? Also publishing is involved. And this is a guy who's living his node, right? He's pursuing the truth in some ways at all costs. And here with the eighth house, we can see kind of the muckraker in action. Pluto here in the 12th, in the eighth house, in dignity in the eighth house with Jupiter here. So it's expansive. He's going to go deeper. And once he found a mine, which he did, it revealed quite a bit. Quite a bit. Pluto trying the ascendant, Jupiter trying the ascendant. So all of his eighth house material has to go somewhere. Where is it going to go? Over here. Now he has the predisposition, I think, or had, since he's passed away. Supposedly, what happened? I think he either died of a heart attack or he got shot in his home. I think it's the heart attack, but who knows how that goes. Right? But he had the predisposition, I think, to be an excellent journalist and the type of guy who could really take on the type of work that he was tasked for. That moon in Aquarius, second house, chilly, ice in the veins, right? And then Mercury, highest planet in his chart, in Virgo, and at 29, man, anoretic. No wonder I like this guy. His Mercury is conjunct my sun. And so, yeah, he's got a mission to fulfill. And the ninth house, of course, is publishing. Sun Venus conjunction, 7-7. The number 7 is interesting. Without that conjunction, he's got nothing with his sun, right? That's it. And Mars, these two, and he's got the Venus Mars conjunction as well. He's got a very single pointed and focused chart. It's about the exposition of truth, going deep into the veins behind the story to uncover the mystery, right? And Pluto rules drugs. Pluto and Neptune rule drugs. They're co-rulers, right? Pluto rules addiction. Neptune rules substances. And he has this Mercury sextile Uranus, which means that when he gets cooking, you know how it is. Sometimes when you get into researching something, and you go down a rabbit hole, and all of a sudden there's Easter eggs. He's got an Easter egg mechanism here with this Mercury sextile Uranus. Not a lot of water in his chart, which again, in terms of a predisposition for being a journalist or somebody who is going to untangle these dark alliances, you can't be sentimental. Because if you're sentimental, you'll be at cross purposes with this type of work. It's just the way it is. Doesn't mean he doesn't feel. I'm sure that when he got moved to the city desk in Los Gatos, he felt quite a bit. And the feeling he had was probably isolation, alienation, and frustration. But you can see the journalist here. You can see the truth teller here. You can see the muckraker here. I think he's one of the most important people of the late 20th century because he opened up a story that people had sort of danced around and knew that there certain things going on, but Gary Webb broke it wide open. And not only that, but he, in his own way, showed us the power of the internet at a time when it was uncluttered and there weren't all these different voices and bots and different energies competing for your attention. It was single pointed, focused, pure in its expression. But it was like one of these flowers that blooms in the desert. It doesn't last very long. Like you sit there and you're kind of amazed at this intricate creation that pops up and then it's gone. And I'm not really referring to Gary, but I'm referring to that moment, that nascent moment on the internet where with the true node conjunct his ascendant, we felt like this is it. We have found the great equalizer. We have found the tool that allows somebody like Gary Webb to bypass a lot of different channels and not only publish a story in San Jose, but publish it to the world. So there's your star of the day, Gary Webb. All right. Looks like we're going to do 15 minutes of flame. I couldn't do it yesterday because I had a lot going on. It was a big day. Big day. A new chapter is about to commence. And it's a good chapter. It's a good chapter. And I'm having some interesting, I'm not really ready to talk about it in full yet, but I'm processing a lot of this still. But closed on a new house for my mother yesterday, and it happened really quickly. And it happened on the Moon Saturn conjunction, right? And my mother is a Pisces, and I think that the Moon Saturn aren't quite on her sun, but in the same sign, right? And it's interesting. It was interesting to close a house on the full Moon Saturn, and I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. I think that ultimately astrologically it adds up, arithmetically speaking. Don't forget, we're going to be at 15 minutes of flame. We're going to do some Lahaina. We're going to catch up with some very interesting words from Tucker Carlson, who all of a sudden, Tucker Carlson has become like the Clint Eastwood of truth in some ways. And I know Tucker is possibly a deep state baby. We've done some deep dives on his father, Dick Carlson, but his latest video is, we're going to look at it. It's worth talking about. We'll return to the scene of the crime with Lahaina, and we'll have a lot more to talk about over on 15 minutes of flame. So please join us. And let me give a visual here to my buddy Chris over at True Hemp Science. And let's just check in with his website. I tell you, his moon dust gummy really, really helped me out the other day. I was needing a little moon dusting, and it was just what the doctor ordered. So let's do a quick little visual here of True Hemp Science. I should probably do this at the beginning because people are like, all right, he's done now. I'm out of here. So if you are interested in some of the best CBD products, Chris knows how to work with the terpenes. The terpenes are going to trigger the CBD, right? So he is a master alchemist because he's found the way to take CBD and turbocharge it. And there's oils, water soluble, edibles, stuff for your pet. There's also topical CBD, all kinds of great stuff that he has here on True Hemp Science. And if you spend $100 or more, just type in 15MINS, 15MINS, and you will get free goodies, which is always great. $150 or more, get you free shipping, always a 30-day money-back guarantee. All right. Everybody have a blessed day out there. If your day is ending, I hope your night is peaceful and that you can sleep and dream. And I hope that is even meaningful as well. All right. Use your head in order to discern what's real. Your heart, 2 7 what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Take care and bye for now.